The pipe organ is known as the king of instruments and has enjoyed a long tradition in the church. Nowadays, however, it's rare to hear a pipe organ at Mass, where it seems that pianos, guitars, and drums now reign. But are all instruments equal in the liturgy? Is organ music to be discouraged in modern times, or does the Church still encourage it? What is it about the organ that has earned it such a place of honor in our tradition and liturgy to begin with? And is it important to restore its use? Let's take a look. The pipe organ is a wind instrument. As such, it both emulates and complements the human voice, at the same time representing life and the Holy Spirit. A liturgy's people, their breath, their voices, candle flames, incense, and pipe organ are all sustained by the same air moving freely throughout the church. The many pipes of varying pitches and timbres harmoniously represent the people gathered from all lands, joined as one in sung praise. The pipe organ is an instrument of authority, sovereignty, and majesty. Eusebius of Alexandria is commonly credited with building the first pipe organ in the 3rd century BC, and over the centuries, the pipe organ has earned a position of authority and great symbolic significance in Western history. It is not known when the pipe organ was first used for religious purposes in Europe, but it was commonplace in Spain as early as the mid-5th century. As a symbol of authority, the organ traditionally played in Benedictine abbeys while the abbot recited the Lord's Prayer. Constantine V, the 8th century emperor of Byzantium, was accompanied by an organ when he spoke, and the organ's sound represented the cosmos, resounding his proclamations. Tradition holds that he sent Pepin, the father of Charlemagne, a gift of an impressive organ in recognition of Frankish sovereignty. This organ was escorted by Pope Stephen II and put in the church of St. Cornelius at Compiègne. We don't know what these early organs sounded like, but it is clear that they symbolized something living and powerful. The Roman organ, of secular origin, was eventually put to use in cathedrals and abbeys, and throughout the centuries it earned a similar position of tradition and authority in the church. Organ makers in Gaul and Germany were thought to be the most skilled, and in the year 873, Pope John VIII asked Anno, Bishop of Freising, to send him a good organ and organist. Even today we can see that the art of organ building has not been lost in Freising. A pipe organ, even when silent, is a visual symbol of liturgy and identity, and is an integral part of an edifice, just as music is an integral part of the liturgy. Because pipe organs are custom designed for individual church buildings, each one is unique, as each community is unique. While pipe organs are expensive to build, they have ever been so, and require no more relative sacrifice today than they did in past times. Cardinal Edward Egan, when welcoming the Holy Father, said of St. Patrick Cathedral, it was built with the pennies of the poor. The same can be said of many, if not most, church pipe organs. It takes time, planning, and sacrifice to build a pipe organ, but as Father Richard John Newhouse wrote, there is nothing mere about the beautiful. Expensive to build, a pipe organ serves as a testament to the sacrifice and craftsmanship required to build one. A true pipe organ is then a prominent physical manifestation of the work of the people, a source of identification, humble pride, and a treasure to its people. Furthermore, it belongs to the community and not to an individual who takes it home when Mass is over. Although maintenance and regular tuning of a pipe organ can also be costly, the care given an organ is also a model for the Church. As Pope Benedict XVI said when blessing the organ of the Regensburg Cathedral, "In an organ, the many pipes and voices must form a unity. If here or there something becomes blocked, if one pipe is out of tune, this may at first be perceptible only to a trained ear, but if more pipes are out of tune, dissonance ensues, and the result is unbearable. Also, the pipes of this organ are exposed to variations of temperature and subject to wear. Now this is an image of our community in the Church. Just as in an organ an expert hand must constantly bring disharmony back to consonance, so we in the Church, in the variety of our gifts and charisms, always need to find anew, through our communion in faith, harmony in the praise of God and in fraternal love." Since the Second Vatican Council of the 1960s, the Catholic Church has seen the quick disappearance of pipe organs from our churches. Many of those that haven't been removed remain in dusty disuse and disrepair, while pianos, guitars, and drums have been welcomed in the organ's place in an attempt to engage the faithful in greater participation. As organs have disappeared, the number of organ students in the United States has plummeted since the introduction of contemporary popular liturgical music. Few young Catholics today have ever even heard a pipe organ. But was the loss of the pipe organ, its tradition and its players, the intent of the Church Fathers at the Second Vatican Council? Did they intend to put an end to the organ and the musical tradition? Actually, quite the contrary. The Council Fathers called the musical tradition of the Church a treasure of inestimable value, greater even than that of any other art. And as for the organ, they wrote, "In the Latin Church, the pipe organ is to be held in high esteem, for it is the traditional musical instrument which adds a wonderful splendor to the Church's ceremonies and powerfully lifts up man's mind to God and to higher things." And yet, it's not enough to esteem the pipe organ, for it has little value without a player. Just as we need to support vocations to the priesthood and religious life, we must support those who are gifted with music in the service of the Church. Now it's true that other instruments are allowed. The Council Fathers wrote that other instruments also may be admitted for use in divine worship, with the knowledge and consent of the competent territorial authority. This may be done, however, only on condition that the instruments are suitable or can be made suitable for sacred use, in accord with the dignity of the temple, and truly contribute to the edification of the faithful. And the general instruction on the Roman Missal states, "While the organ is to be accorded pride of place, other wind, stringed, or percussion instruments may be used in liturgical services in the dioceses of the United States of America, according to long-standing local usage, provided they are truly apt for sacred use, or can be rendered apt." Perhaps the best reason that the pipe organ is to be held in such high esteem is that it is an instrument entirely suitable for sacred use. A pipe organ can sound like one voice, or it can sound like many. As a solo instrument, it needs no accompaniment, and yet it is completely capable of providing accompaniment. Alone it has the strength to support the singing of an entire congregation and the subtlety to play the softest meditation. But for all the grand repertoire played in preludes before Mass and postludes after Mass, during the Mass itself, the organ has no official showcase of its own, and never draws attention to itself. This king of instruments becomes humble and subservient to the liturgy and the people's song. The organ speaks with dignity, tradition, authority, majesty, power, and even humility. It represents the life-giving breath of the Holy Spirit, the work of the community, and the many gathered into one. Beautiful to behold, astounding to hear, and capable of dazzling splendor, it humbles itself for the sake of the liturgy. The pipe organ has well earned the title sacred, and thus its place of high esteem. This is why organs are blessed and dedicated, and other instruments are generally not. No other instrument alone approaches what a pipe organ can do or what it represents. Other instruments will have to be impressive indeed to earn the title sacred, and are not made sacred or suitable simply because someone brings them into a church and pronounces them so. As Pope Benedict XVI, in blessing the organ in Regensburg, said, "The organ has always been considered, and rightly so, the king of musical instruments, because it takes up all the sounds of creation and gives resonance to the fullness of human sentiments, from joy to sadness, from praise to lamentation. By transcending the merely human sphere, as all music of quality does, it evokes the divine." The organ's great range of timbre, from piano through a thundering fortissimo, makes it an instrument superior to all others. It is capable of echoing and expressing all the experiences of human life. The manifold possibilities of the organ in some way remind us of the immensity and the magnificence of God.